Saludos and salutations, Broncos Country, and welcome into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, we do apologize for being off last week, but ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I are back, baby, and we are so excited to talk to you about today's show. Today's show is dedicated to our quarterback, Bo Nix. I know we've already talked about him before in the past. Doesn't matter. We're going to talk about him today, tomorrow, the next day, next week, all the way until he officially throws his football going into his second year, because we are that excited. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure your food is warm and your drink is cold and that you're comfortable. And if you follow me on Twitter at a 6'10" Mexican, by the way, I told you that if we didn't have 100 viewers at the start of the show, I was gonna give out Libre's identity, and we are not at that level. So, ladies and gentlemen, it pains me to say this, and you probably already know him. He could be sitting next to you right now, or he could be in your neighborhood. And I'm a man of my word. So, ladies and gentlemen, the real Bronco Libre, his secret identity is... Why don't you freaking know it? Right when I was gonna do it, I get cut off. And even Bronco Libre himself is cut off. Libre, what is going on, my friend? Your camera's not on.
What's happening? I can't reveal myself, bro. Come on.
Not only did he cut me off, he cut himself off. Like, what the heck is going on? What was Johnny doing while we were on break, dude? Was he messing around with our settings? What the hell?
He had to have, because I show off full camera. I don't know why it's not on there. I don't know what's happening, guys. Wait, you know what? One thing is, I've never met the guy behind the mask. Just so you're aware. Every time I've seen the guy, it's only in pictures and videos.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to do you one better. At the end of the show, I'm going to reveal to you guys. I'm going to write it down on my whiteboard who the real Bronco Libre is. I guarantee you that. They can't shut me off there. Johnny has no control over this show towards the end of the stream. So, and I don't care if he knows it. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. My name is Adan Diaz, and I'm two of your hosts for today's show called Broncos Talk. And with me, joining me on my left or right, depending on which way your direction, once he figures out his whole camera situation, is my co-host Bronco Libre. So once he figures it out, he'll be back in. And ladies and gentlemen, it is great to be with you guys here today. We do apologize for the technical difficulties, but with any live show, it almost seems like it goes hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? So while Libre figures himself out, this is the part of the show where I get talk to you guys and let you know if this is your first time here, welcome in, glad to have you. And if it's not your first time, welcome back. So with that being said, we got a couple of things we got to get out of the way first before we start today's show. First of all, we'd like to start off by asking you to show your support for us here on the Orange and Blue Network, where we live stream this show. Please subscribe, share, comment, and like on any and all the good segments on this show. If there's something that you see that you don't agree with Libre and I, comment. Anything, questions, whatever is on your mind. If you're not able to join us during the live show, you can always comment and like on it, and Libre and I will get to your comment as soon as possible. Also, please make sure you show your support on the MHRT network, because this is a simulcast show, so we're simultaneously streaming on both sites at the same time. So with that being said, make sure you subscribe, share, comment, and like on all their shows as well, just in case you're all caught up on Broncos Talk. They, and as well as the Orange and Blue Network themselves, have such variety and content of Broncos stuff that you do not have enough time in the world to listen to it. And that's guaranteed, especially if you go back to the very first archive episodes of MHRT, where a couple of young bucks starting out on an adventure. Oh, baby. It only gets better as you go along. Also, we'd like to say thanks to all of our audio listeners listening to us after the fact. If that's you, please make sure you give us a 5-star review on whatever site you're listening to us. Google, Apple, Amazon, iHeart, all those good stuff. If you send us a screenshot and send it to us on our socials, you can give us a shout right there at my Twitter. My handle is at Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. That's 5280.
For those who don't know,
for those who don't know. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk at 2020@gmail.com. And we'd also like to say thank you to our sponsor for today's show and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. Of course, we're talking about our good friends over at Dubby. Ladies and gentlemen, Dubby was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash. And it's also something special. Basically, the formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics, including the patented neurofactor formula. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very simple. It's no calories, no sugar, no maltodextrin, and no fillers, and no artificial colors. Like we like to say here on Broncos Talk, ladies and gentlemen, it is all the good stuff without all of the bad. And to show you guys how awesome Johnny Baki and the guys over the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast are, they want to hook you up. Yes, you, the guy sitting over there drinking the beer, when you use the code NRWOB10 to get your 10% off at checkout. Again, that code is NRWOB10 to get your 10% off at checkout. Shout out to all the guys over at Nothing Rhymes With for hooking us up with 10% off. And, of course, to Dubby for being a continued sponsor on this and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Networks. Also, ladies and gentlemen, before I forget, I want to give you guys the schedule for the shows for the upcoming season. So make sure you write these down. Of course, we have the Bronco Blitz. It's every Monday and Friday at 11 a.m. with our good friend Isaiah Henderson. We got Broncos Bros. They just premiered their episode last week. They did their second episode this past Monday. Every Monday at 7 p.m. So make sure you go tell them that the Big Bro sent you. The Nothing Rhymes With, which is the flagship show here on Tuesdays at 7. Broncos Talk, where we're currently sitting and watching right now at 6 p.m. And then we have Viva Los Broncos, which goes every single Friday at 6 p.m. Side note, ladies and gentlemen, we will not be streaming Viva Los Broncos this Friday because it is the 4th of July, but we will be back to our normally scheduled program next Friday at 6 p.m. Also, the Fresh Squeeze for all your breaking news. And, of course, before every pregame, we have the Get Bucked pregame show, which is just 1 hour before kickoff for every Broncos game. And then after the Broncos game, regardless of the result, we have the Buck Your Feelings postgame show with Johnny Baki and all the people that Johnny Baki likes and will allow to come on the show because he doesn't like us to swear.
No mames.
Yeah, no mames. And then before I forget, ladies and gentlemen, help me wish Bronco Libre a belated birthday. It was his birthday.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you.
So round of applause.
Thank you. I appreciate every one of you guys. Thank you.
How does it feel to be 23 again?
Hi, 23 again. Just waking up a little sore. Had to stretch out a little bit. You know, I think about it. You're talking about 23 plus 24 years experience. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Oh, and also before I almost forgot, shout out to our TikTok audience. If I do forget to mention you guys, I do apologize. I'm not used to looking down.
It's his fault.
But please, if you guys have any comments or questions you want us to answer during the show, please feel free to ask. And please do not be upset if I miss anything. I am old, and I don't care what Libre says. I'm older than you. Who cares? I have the gray hair.
Hey, I bet you do have more gray hairs than me.
I don't know. I've never seen you without your mask, so you're probably right.
I'm just saying. I've never seen Libre without the mask either.
And speaking of, Fanatic Dak says, "What's up, bro?
What's happening, Vato Loco?"
one half of the Broncos Bros. What's up, man? Thank you so much for joining and showing your support. Fanatic Dak has been with us for quite a while, and it was awesome to see him and his co-host finally hit the airwaves with Broncos Bros. It is such an amazing show. I cannot wait to watch the next episode. And make sure you guys are signed up. Hit that notification button right there in the corner so you get live notifications on whenever one of our shows goes live, so you never miss an episode.
Yes, sir.
And then Jay Weaver says, the fellas love the hat collection.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Okay,
Mr.
first
Viva.
of all, I have a hat collection too, all right? It's not as big as Libre's because I'm in a smaller room, but when I get my bigger room back in the future, just you wait. It's going to be like all hats. It's going to trump what Libre's got over there.
Just so you know that that's only about half of my hats that I have out there too. So I still have a lot more to put up.
And to be fair, Libre lives in Denver, so it's easier for him to get Broncos hats. It's hard as hell for me to get here because they all sell the same hat here in Chicago.
Hey, there's fanatics.com. There's the
that's
Broncos
online,
team
dude.
store.
I don't trust those stores.
If you go to the Bronco team store, you're going to be able to go ahead and get the authentic hats that I would normally get as well.
It's like, what, 20 minutes away for you?
No me importa. I don't care if it's just down the road or not.
That's not fair.
You can go to the mall there in Chicago. Go to the ProLine, the ProLine store. They have all the hats there.
Dude, they have the same. They either only have the blue one, which I have, or the orange one, which I have. This red one was custom. I got it in Denver. My gray one was custom. Got it in Denver. And I should have brought the black one, dude. The black one it haunts me in my dreams.
Well, the thing is, like, I know you can go to these stores and you can say, could you order this for me? And they'll do it for you with no extra charge. They won't even charge you the shipping.
I'll look into it and I'll tell them Bronco Libre sent me.
Send them my way.
But ladies and gentlemen, we are back after a week off. Definitely some needed rest for the both of us. And we are back and we are going to talk about Bo Nix. Now, the reason we're going to talk about Bo Nix is I know we've talked about him in the past, but his name has come up, I should say, a lot recently. And basically what's been going through my mind, Libre, is I wanted to talk to you and the chat about Bo Nix and what the relationship is going into year 2 with Sean Payton. Now, the last time we saw these guys had butts was at the Raiders game, where it was kind of like Bo Nix was wanting to do one thing and Coach Sean Payton was wanting to do another. Now, last year was kind of understandable, Libre, because you had a rookie quarterback and, you know, obviously he's getting his taste of what it is in an actual NFL game versus what he was dealing with in his college days. And I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot more headbutting between Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Maybe not to the degree that we saw in that Raiders game, Libre, but I actually like that because compared to what we were coming from with Russell Wilson, and we've talked about it before, Libre, and we'll talk about it again, that image of Russell Wilson getting chewed out by his offensive lineman was just embarrassing. It was embarrassing. And Nathaniel Hackett not doing a damn thing about it. That whole 3-way triangle, whichever way you want to spit at it, is just embarrassing for us as Broncos fans. It was embarrassing for the franchise, Libre. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you 100%. Being there, seeing that happening live, at first, you know, you don't really see it while you're in the stadium. You don't really realize that because you're not really focusing with like how the TV is set up and how they're already looking at those angles. But going back home and watching the replay and whatnot, but seeing that is ridiculous because, first of all, like I feel like when Russ was here, he was entitled to certain things and so forth. And that's why like he didn't get into the faces of some of these guys. I felt like he got his money. He was like, I'm just here, I'm collecting my bag, and then that's it. But his line, with that being so passionate, and you have to think as well, the line is not that much different than what we have now. And look at how the line is right now. They're already talking about this offensive line being one of the better offensive line in the league right now. But with that being said, you see that passion that they have, and that Bonex is going to be able to help and propel these guys to be even better. Russell Wilson wasn't able to do that. I don't think he is that true leader that he once was when he was in Seattle. I think he's lost that a little bit. And then you could see that, especially in Pittsburgh. You could see that now going into the Giants itself. Like, you're going to see that itself. He's not going to be the player that he once was. And I feel like he's lost it, and he's just there just to collect the money now. It's not really about anything else. He wants to try to catch up in his net worth to Sierra, what's never going to happen. So, but because I don't feel like he has la ganas. He doesn't have it anymore in him. He doesn't have that burning desire to play that. It's just more about his social media brand that he has, because the 2 years that he was here, that's all he had. He had his camera guy coming out there. I know some of the players like Garrett Bowles did say, I think one time, saying that Russell Wilson, they had that thing where he had his own office there at the training facility and whatnot, and his own parking spot or whatever. But the true thing is, he is a player of the game as well. He wants to study the game as well. He was the first one in and the last one out. So, and that's what was explained to everyone as well, is that's the type of player you do want, but you want to also have it where he's out there in the actual field producing as well. And he didn't do that for us the 2 years that he was here. But that's part of the reason why he had a parking spot, because he was the first one there. He was there at 4 o'clock in the morning to 4:30 in the morning, or whatever time they allowed him to get there. And he was the last one to leave. But I feel like with what we have now and what we had before, Nathaniel Hackett was a joke. I just thought that with him coming in, he really thought he was going to get Aaron Rodgers here. And that's part of, I think, his whole scheme was to get Aaron Rodgers here. And then when that fell through, all right, Russ is the next best thing. We'll just do whatever. And you saw what happened within that year. Wasn't doing it for us. And we're like, see ya.
I don't know if I said this, but shout out to our friends over at the Broncos World Order. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you guys so much for helping us spread the word of all of us here on Broncos Talk, and of course through the MHRT and Orange and Blue Network. So shout out to you guys. Thank you guys so much for your support for all of us here on the show.
WBO, let's go.
But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Like, that fire, that energy is what's definitely needed in Denver. And the fact that we were getting it from the wrong person. When you're getting chewed by your offensive lineman like that, that's how you know that the problem, that the structure on that team was so bad that nobody was taking charge. It was kind of like where the ownership was after we lost our owners. There was no leadership, no morals, it was just kind of like everybody was just there to collect a paycheck. Kind of thing,
I agreed 100% on that.
And unfortunately, it sucks because, Pat Bowlen was a really, really amazing. He was such an inspiration for everybody on this team, for the players, for the fans, for the city of Denver, and the fact that he was able to bring 3 world titles to this city is just, so beyond amazing. And I'm glad that before he left this world, that he was able to see his team, in championship glory 3 different times.
I agreed 100%, especially the last one, the 10 years ago when we won Super Bowl 50, when he was already away from the team because of his disease itself. But when they did ask him if he understood that the Broncos did win that Super Bowl, he did understand that they did actually win it and do all that. So hearing that aspect of it, like, for me, for Mr. B, like, was so excited and happy that he did understand prior to him passing, like, he understood his team won another championship for him. Again, that's why they go for that year. This one's for Pat. That was a big thing for him.
Mm-hmm. And we have a comment here saying, Mahai City Baby 303 saying, finally caught you guys live, especially Bronco Libre. I am also in the Mahai City.
Yes, let's go. Hey, if you ever want to catch up or want to go and hang out and have a beer, hit me up. Bronco Libre 5280 on Twitter or VX. Or find me on any of the other social medias as well as Bronco Libre. But yeah, it'd be freaking awesome just to hang out and chat about Broncos. I love it.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Mile High City, baby. And of course, welcome to the MHRT and Orange and Blue Networks. Dreamweaver has a question for us here, Libre. He says, do we actually he asks, do we actually believe Singleton will make this roster? Now, I know Singleton, Libre, you did send me a video on TikTok earlier, and he has been on everybody's minds since the start of, it's not training camp, but, the little practices. OTAs, thank you. It escaped me for a second. So, I know he just recently got married. So, I think he's on his honeymoon right now, if I'm not mistaken. So he's more than likely trying to get all that stuff out of the way before training camp does start, so he can be there. I know it's kind of crazy because Cody Barton coming in last year was kind of like a temporary replacement of not having Singleton, and I was really hoping that they would retain Barton, but unfortunately he got a better offer and he went to the Titans. So good luck to him. But I got to tell you guys, the energy and the commitment that Alex Singleton has is amazing. And you really, really want that type of energy in your locker room. Because if it was up to Singleton, he would have played with a bad leg, even if he would have had to drag himself across the field. That's how much that man loves the game. And when you have that type of mentality and bringing him in, I think he's going to be a really good asset for this team. Now, knock on wood, that he doesn't, his injury is not as bad as, most other players that are coming off of that is. He's had plenty of time to heal. And I think that that's only going to make him come back stronger. But even if physically, let's say hypothetically speaking, even if he's physically not at 100%, his mind is still as sharp as ever. And that, to me, goes a long way. He's going to make a really great if he decides to do any type of coaching in the defensive side of the field, especially for his position. He's going to be amazing at it, okay? Make no mistake about it. But I think you need a guy like Singleton out there because he is going to give you 100% every single drive, every time he's out there. And with a defense that's already stacked, I think that he is one of the reasons why that defense is going to be really, really great. And while, again, I do think that there may be times where we're going to be like, yeah, Barton would have made that play or Barton would have made that tackle. But either way, I think we're going to be okay with Singleton.
I said this before. I'm going to say it again. He tore his ACL early in that game last year, and he finished that game. When most players would not finish that game and they'd be in too much pain because it's a complete ACL tear. And whenever you try to cut or whatever, there's no stability in your knee whatsoever. It's like it's just going to be everywhere, slipping and sliding everywhere. But the toughness, the grit that this individual has, what Alex Singleton has, is phenomenal. Like it's in his mind. He didn't want to get out. He didn't want to leave. They forced him to leave. But I'm going to let you know, though, is me being like, I've actually talked to him last year during training camp, and this is before all the injury stuff. He's such a great guy, a nice guy. And you could see the leadership that he has on the field itself. He's a captain for a reason. So you're like, with his mentality, like I think he's already ready. He's ready to go for this upcoming season. He might be limited during the training camp. I'll be actually there on Friday, the 25th, when they open it up to the public. I was able to get tickets, so I'm going to be going there. So I'll try to get some footage and all that so that we can share as well, especially on Viva Los Broncos on that day. But overall, I feel like he is going to make the team. He'll be there. He's going to be a starter, I feel like, if he's healthy enough and they can get him cleared out. He'll be there. He has that grit. There's no doubt about that itself. So I'm excited for him as well. And I can't wait to see him play again, because just that leadership alone is something that you cannot replace. Just like we had Von Miller when he was here, that leadership and so forth. Alex Singleton is also that type of guy that we need right now on our team, especially with some of these newer guys coming in and whatnot. So I feel like he's going to make the team, still going to be a captain because of his leadership. So I want to go back to Mile High City Baby 303's comment that you just posted up real quick.
That one?
Let's get this correct right now. Let's get it down. So we don't want it like all these great defenses that we've had before in the history of just in the NFL itself. Have you ever seen something that said 2.0 and all that? No, you haven't. We've talked about possibly no fly zone 2.0, but we can't do that because that's already a team. We had the Orange Crush, you had the Purple People Eater, you had the Steel Curtains, you had all those other guys. But this year, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be calling this team Cell Block D, because they're going to get locked down. Let's go.
Oh, I can already see Johnny Baki doing backflips in his
I know he is. So Mile High City Baby 303, let's go and get this out there. Cell Block D. Let's lock it down. That's what we're going to go after.
I wholeheartedly agree. The defense is going to be perfecto.
Oh, yeah.
But if I may, I'd like to circle back to Bo Nix for a second. So we had what we had with Russell Wilson, and now we're going into the second year with Bo Nix. And the energy that he puts out is like night and day from what we had. It's nothing that you would have had if you would have started Jarrett Stidham. Okay. That whole quarterback competition thing that they did last year, that was a joke. Okay. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There was no need to even bring that up. I think it was just a spin from the media, whether it be from the Broncos side or the NFL side. It was totally unnecessary. Everybody knew and wanted Bo Nix to be the start, because if we were supposedly going to be bad, like we said we were, or not we, like they said we were, and the Broncos were going to be in the basement and they were going to be in the running for the first round pick in the 2025 NFL draft and all that stuff, then it might as well be with Bo Nix, because at least he can learn from his mistakes. And even with the mistakes that Bo Nix made last year, ladies and gentlemen, it was still not as bad as what some of the others in their rookie years made. He excelled by far. And not only did he excel, but he was able to take the Broncos to their first playoff game in 9 freaking years. Okay.
Yeah.
9 freaking years. What no other quarterback could do between Peyton Manning and Bo Nix in the span of 9 years, Bo Nix was able to do that. Okay. And he was so close to getting the first sweep over Kansas City. Okay. So close. Going into year 2, there's going to be so much more difference. We have a new tight end. We have a new running back, an offensive line that you can damn well believe is going to be out for blood, especially. And I am so excited to see what Sean Payton has up his sleeve, because he is going to go in with the quarterback that he knows he chose, that he's molding in his vision, and he is going to make him be the next superstar of this league. And the fact that people still take the Broncos for granted, Libre, makes me laugh. It really does.
It's funny that the narrative with the league and just the national media still don't believe in this team, and which is crazy to hear. I agree with you, Dak. Bo Nix going into year 2, where it's the way that it's looking like with the joker that we got, with the running back that we got, with all this help that we have on this offensive side to help Bo Nix to excel. I agree with you 100%. There's not going to be a time where we shouldn't be punting, because we have RJ Harvey that's in there. We have, Evan Ingram, who's going to be able to be that outlet that Bo didn't have this last year. So with these weapons that we have now, and let me tell you again, Bo Nix was not given the full playbook from Sean Payton. We only saw a very small portion uh, of what Sean Payton was giving out. Like everyone talks about the second year, the sophomore slump. You know, we saw it with CJ Stroud this last year. I'm saying it and calling it now. Mark it on your calendars here, July 2nd, 2025, that Jaden Daniels may have and will have a sophomore slump. He's not going to be the same type of player. You saw it already at the end of last year. He actually plateaued. He didn't do that. Yes, he got the team to the AFC champion or to the NFC championship game, but it's the NFC. You know, I have to say, yes, it was the NFC. That's just that I feel like the AFC has a better conference as team wise, anyways. But with Bo Nix not being able to have all the weapons that some of these other guys had, now that he has these weapons and the playbook has just opened up a little bit more, a lot of these defenses do not have a lot of the studies that or film on him of what he's really capable of doing. So with that being said, I just see that Bo Nix is going to be accelerating and continuing to be a better and better quarterback. Maybe you can go back to possibly Dan Marino, like when Dan Marino went and took the Dolphins to the Super Bowl in his second year. So I feel like that's something that is another scenario that could happen where he just had an excellent second year, but he's not going to have Dan Marino's career because he's actually going to bring championships here to the Mile High City.
Well, if I can play devil's advocate on that statement, Libre, I didn't see the only reason Jaden Daniels kind of hit a slump towards the end of the season was because he was dealing with an injury. So it wasn't something that was like serious, but any injury for any quarterback can still really hinder their performance. And I only say that because he did take down one of the best offenses in the NFC in the Detroit Lions. I mean, nobody had the Commanders winning that game except for Commanders fans. And the fact that they went into Motown and did that to Jared Goff and Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell, you got to give them credit for that. Now, they did run into the Eagles, who are on a whole different plateau, but they used all their magic on Detroit, unfortunately. But I give them credit and kudos because making it even as far as the championship game is still a very, very big accomplishment, just like it was for us. You know, unfortunately, Buffalo was our very first opponent, and playing in Buffalo and playing against Josh Allen is no easy task. But you better be rest assured there will be a rematch with Buffalo, whether it's in the regular season or in the postseason, and I guarantee you our boys will be ready.
Oh, I agree with that as well. And the difference as well is the game's going to be here in Mile High. Just because I feel like we're going to have a better record than them this upcoming year.
Just so if I tell you it's wishful thinking, it's wishful thinking. Maha City comes in and he says, I agree with Libre, especially from all the Raiders and KC fans here in Denver.
100%.
Well, I mean, when you're AFC West rivals, Maha, you gotta. We're all going to say the same thing, you know. Just like we think they suck, they think we suck, and you know we agree that their other teams suck, except for them, and like it's just four people, you know, just pointing fingers at each other, saying they suck for hours and hours on end.
Yeah,
but that's just how the animosity goes, and that's just how passionate for football we are, that we are willing to stand there and point at these other guys and say, you guys are terrible. No, you're terrible. No, you're terrible. No, Mahomes sucks. No, Geno Smith sucks. No, Justin Herbert sucks. And, you know, it's going to be a fun quarterback race. I will tell you that.
No, agree.
But for me, I think the most interesting thing for me about Bo Nix going into year 2 is the fact that this young man still feels like he has so much to do. You know, for him, there's no ceiling, so to speak. And I think that that's credited to the coaching staff around him, because when you have a guy like Sean Payton, that, like you said, he wasn't given the full playbook, and you're right, I forgot about that. But imagine what he can do when he does get the full playbook now. Let's say he does get it this year, or he starts getting a little bit, in chunks and saying a little bit more plays and seeing what works and what doesn't. What I think is going to happen, Libre, is if September can be good for the Broncos, and let's say hypothetically speaking, they can go 4-0, they are going to go and get a weapon in a trade. And I can already see the owners coming up to Sean Payton and giving them a blank check and saying, make it happen. Go get a number one wide receiver. Go get a tight end if we need another one to complement Evan Ingram. Do what you need to do to get it. And that's what the good teams do at the end of September and October, Libre, as they get closer to the trade deadline, is they go and get other players to make their team better. So with the Broncos, they don't have to worry about that on defense because the defense is already better. And the only way that they're going to get another defensive player is if one goes down through injury. So, but with the Broncos, they're not dealing with injury. They're just trying to be world beaters. They're trying to compete with your Ravens, with the Bills, with the Bengals offensively. There's got a lot of powerhouses in the AFC. Okay, don't let the records fool you from last year. And you got to remember that not everything from last year transfers over to the next year. There's always coaching changes. There's always bad luck streaks, all that crazy juju stuff. So with that being said, Libre, I think that the Broncos are in a very good position. I like where the direction Bo Nix is taking, and I cannot wait to see what year 2 for him in Denver is going to look like.
I agree with you with that 100%. And just like how we were talking about OTAs, what you already see some of the videos that came out with when the media was allowed to go in and visit. You saw him going out there and already directing some of these wide receivers and telling them the routes and so forth. He has already put in the work. Getting in this the playbook itself, I feel like he already understands all of this. So he took his time during this offseason and learned more and more what Sean Payton was able to give him. And then when they were out there in OTAs, he was already directing these players, saying, hey, for this play, this is where we're going. We're going to go this way. You're going to do this. You're doing that. Like, he already understands this playbook. And that just excites me even more because he already has the understanding of what's going on, and he's basically on the same page as Sean Payton. And how can you not be excited to see that? So when I come out there on the 25th here in a couple weeks to be able to go and watch them practice live on the first day open to the public, that's my thing, is I'm going to be studying what he's doing out there, what's happening, like what's his reads are. And again, I'm also an offensive line guy, so I'm also watching the line, making sure that we're doing that. I want to see what type of blocking scheme that we have going on. Hopefully that we do go back to take away like the zone blocking that we've had over the last several years. Are we going to be able to pull some of these guards and tackles that I've talked about earlier in early shows itself? But Bo Nix, the excitement around him in year 2 is so exciting, especially just talking to other fans and non-fans as well, like non-Bronco fans, like Mile High City Baby 303 was saying here about how other teams like Kansas City fans and Raider fans, and like it's crazy that there's a lot of those fans here in Denver, and we talk to them. I have good conversations with them. And they, too, think that Bo Nix is going to have a great second year. But, of course, they always say, well, when they play us, he's not going to do that well because Crosby's going to get him or Chris Jones is going to go get him, So either way, I like that good banter that we have, but they also see the potential this individual has, that Bo Nix has, in creating a great rivalry throughout these next several years coming up, and which brings that excitement.
I cannot wait for the very first matchup against the Raiders because it will be against Geno Smith.
Yep.
And you better believe that every single Raiders fan is going to bring up the fact that Geno Smith is 1-0 against Bo Nix. And they're right.
Yeah.
Week 1. But that was against the rookie Bo Nix, a rookie who had never taken an NFL snap up until that game. And if it wasn't for a very, very bad play from one of our defensive linemen, Bo Nix would have had a chance to get the ball back, and he could have made some magic. But unfortunately, we will never know because that 5-yard penalty cost the Broncos the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting it out there right now. That will not happen this time around. Bo Nix is 2-0 against the Raiders. He owns them. And I don't care if you're bringing in Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Marshawn Lynch, the Easter Bunny, whoever you want to bring in. They're not losing to the Raiders. No freaking way. The streak against the Raiders starts now. Okay. You can put it out there. And whether it's the defense that wins us that game or Bo Nix puts up another 30-burger against the Raiders like he did his first time around, I don't care. But the Raiders have so many issues, and it always kind of makes me laugh how they try to sugarcoat it and pretend like everything's fine. It's like being a firefighter and standing right behind you is a fire.
It's just like the Cowboys fans. It's the same thing. It's the same as that we have the Raiders in the AFC and then the Cowboys in the NFC. It's the same thing.
I'm trying to remember, who did the Cowboys get as their head coach? Because they let McCarthy go, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't pay too much attention to them.
The Cowboys wire.
The thing is, I just know that Javonte Williams is their starting running back, and they got him early in the free agency, which I thought was a crazy move to do that. But again, it's Jerry's world. He's going to do what he does, and that was the move that he made.
Mm-hmm. And you're totally right, because I have read or seen arguments about people saying that Dak is better than Bo Nix, and I'm like, the only thing Dak is better than at Bo Nix is in getting money, is in getting paid. That's the only
thing. Is, it's like, I think he also does that little stretch thing. He throws his hip and or whatever. I think he does that better as well because it's all on video.
And Shai Vargas here has a comment, Libre, something that we've already talked about. I'm guessing he never saw that episode where he says, everyone says Bo Nix will have a sophomore slump.
You know what we like about this, Shai, is that we love the narrative that the national media has against the Broncos, the lack thereof, or just because of, everything negative. That's what you hear, especially from the national media. And let me tell you right now that these Broncos are going to change that narrative going forward. They're going to say, and how like Adan always says, I'm going to eat this crow, and let's say I was wrong. You're going to hear a lot of that. Just like last year when he was the 6th quarterback taken off the board at the number 12th position, when the whole narrative was like, oh my gosh, Bo is the worst quarterback of this draft. Why would you pick him so high? And though you could see those videos everywhere, he's going to do that same thing this upcoming year about this sophomore slump itself. There is not going to be a sophomore slump. So I'm super excited for that.
You know what I say when anybody tells me that Bo Nix is going to have a sophomore slump, Libre?
Are you crazy?
I just
Are you out of your mind?
I know Johnny doesn't. I always tells me to use the sound effects, and sometimes I forget to use them, so I do apologize. But at my age, I remember stuff like last minute. What can I say?
What can you say? But you're welcome.
Pretty much. But there's so much that can happen, Shai. And I know what you're thinking. And us as Broncos fans, wearing the orange and blue colored glasses, so to speak, we're only trying to see the positive. And the closer we get to week 1, we're only going to be that way. And technically, we have to be. Now, I know when somebody points out to you like points and you want to be realistic, that's one thing. That's when you're having a discussion with somebody and an argument to a certain extent, which is fine. It's fine to argue points. But everything that's being said is just basically either going to be factual or it's just going to be a bunch of trash talking. And depending who the person you're talking to, it can go either way. All right, make no mistake about it. But when I tell you that I feel that the only team that the Broncos are going to struggle trying to beat is probably going to be the Chargers. Just for the simple fact that they're the only team that swept the Broncos last year. And because the changes that Harbaugh is bringing on are definitely a lot more. I took it for granted. You guys have heard me say it before. And I think that the Sean Payton needs to go back to the drawing board to fix that system, because it's bad enough that we lost to the Chargers the first time at home. It's even worse the way we lost that game in Los Angeles, which is like the second the second home to Broncos country. So that cannot happen again. If I would rather it be a split than for the Broncos to get swept again. They are definitely going to take down the Chiefs, because I know I say this every year, and I'm going to keep saying it until it happens, because it eventually will. The Chiefs are broken. They're even more broken than they were last year. And anything that they do is going to be out of desperation. Any trades, any contract negotiations to shore up more money, all that stuff. I'm not saying that Mahomes is a bad player. I give him his credit, give him his dues. But at the same time, when you're on that type of luck, even the greatest fall eventually. And that's exactly where they're going. And when Andy Reid does finally decide to hang him up, I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is reverses into his rookie year type of thing. They are going to be an even worse team, right? You thought what happened to them against the Eagles was bad, or what they happened to them against the Bucs was bad. Don't be surprised if Kansas City trades Patrick Mahomes and he ends up going into like the Russell Wilson / Aaron Rodgers quarterback tour. Starts just going to different teams. And a lot of people told me, "Oh, that'll never happen." People said that about Tom Brady. People never thought that Tom Brady would ever leave New England. That New England was going to be his first home and his last one. And then he ended up going to Tampa Bay. He got a title out of it. Congrats to him. So
again, for that for that team itself, that defense did carry him to that championship as well. He just happened to be there, be that game manager that they needed. That they really needed desperately, and that's what he does. He's just the game manager of the game itself, and that's what was able to propel them to that Super Bowl championship when they won it. And they went all out that year. What have they done since? Nothing much.
Which reminds me, one of my Uber passengers brought up this point, because I still say this, and it's on my cup. Let's ride, because that's what we do in Broncos country. Even though Russell Wilson's no longer a Bronco, he brought that to Denver. It stuck. Some people don't say it anymore. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to, but I do. So
just so you know that no one here in Mile High City says that.
I still do. And I'm in Chicago.
Well, you're in Chicago. That's why I said. I said here in the Mile High City. Right? Mile High City, baby, 303.
He's like, I'm from the other side of town.
From the Highlands?
From the Highlands, yeah.
Look at even Dreamweaver's puking all over you.
Yeah, well, Jay is he likes wine, so I don't have a wine glass here. That's probably why he doesn't like it.
That's because you're a wino.
A wino? Pinche borracho. Oh, but ladies and gentlemen, I think, and this is another argument that I had with that same passenger, was he told me that he thought that the Broncos giving up the pick that they got for Bradley Chubb to get Sean Payton's contract was not worth it. That the Broncos should have waited until the end of that season when the contract was up, and then they could have went and tried to get his services. And my rebuttal to that was, yeah, but then it wouldn't just be the Broncos that would have gone after Sean Payton. It would have been 30-something other teams, and they wouldn't have had to pay anything but salary cap space or money. So, and we needed it. I said the Broncos were desperate. He wasn't a Broncos fan, so he didn't see all the crap that was going on with Nathaniel Hackett. I said, if you want to laugh, go back and watch the Broncos 2022 season recap. And everything that happened from week 1 all the way until I think he got fired after the Christmas game. And then we had, what's his name? The interim coach, Rosenberg, I think.
Rosenberg, yeah.
And he showed such fire where if he would have been the coach since week 1, the Broncos would have probably made the playoffs that year, even with all the nonsense of Russell Wilson, or at least a better record than 5-12. But
well, I think it just threw everything, like how I mentioned earlier with Nathaniel Hackett, is that he really thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be here with him. That was his whole reasoning. I feel like that he took the head coaching job is like, and leaving Green Bay was going to say, hey, I'm going to leave Green Bay. You're going to come with me. And Aaron Rodgers, he's doing Aaron Rodgers things. Like he didn't move. He didn't budge. He goes, I'm going to play one more year here in Green Bay. And that's part of the real reason. Because I remember we were at a draft party when all the rumors started happening right away about, oh, we're going to trade for Rodgers. We're going to trade for Rodgers. And then nothing happened that day. And I was like, okay, if we didn't happen today, it's not going to happen at all. And Nathaniel Hackett's going to be hurting now. And what happened? That's exactly what happened. He hurt, wasn't expecting anything else to go along, and just went through a season that was like hard to watch as a Broncos fan.
I mean, and he kind of like was like, okay, well, maybe you have a point. I'm like, no, not maybe. I do. But at the same time, I said, through tragedy, eventually triumph came. You know, one of the things that, and I say this to a lot of people, that Stephen A. Smith said on the show that always stuck with me is, he said, the only good thing about being rock bottom is that the only way left to go is up. And that's exactly what happened to the Broncos, because they were able to take that, and with the change in owner, well, with the current change in ownership, I should say, because that was their first year, they laid down the law. And they said that they would not accept anything less than what the city of Denver, in terms of football and their history, the championship history at that, what they bring to the table in terms of the other 31 teams. And what they were bringing was pitiful. It was a shame, and it was not welcome in Mile High, and rightfully so. And to me, I took it for granted, because I was sitting there like, well, we've heard this before. You know, we've heard, you hear it all the time. They say it at the end of every NFL season. You know, whatever management is still left, it's like, oh, we're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then I'm already thinking like, well, they're going to go find another head coach. And I was already, for some reason, my mind was already going the opposite way. I'm like, if a new guy like Nathaniel Hackett didn't work out, you know, who are you going to go with? And they went and they did the unthinkable, and they went and got Sean Payton. Now, Sean Payton was already getting criticized when it came to Denver, Libre, because of all the stuff he was saying on Colin Cowherd's couch, where he was criticizing everybody. So it's like, all right, well, if you think you can do a better job, you know, come put your foot where your mouth is. And I was a little bit skeptical, because I was wondering, I was never okay with the reason why he walked away from New Orleans. Yeah, I get it that Drew Brees was starting to kind of go the Peyton Manning route. And unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to end his career the same way Peyton Manning did. But I kind of felt like he took the Sean Payton took the easy way out, just because things were rough in New Orleans in terms of, you know, the quarterback play and just the direction of the team. That's what I didn't want in Denver, because we were already dealing with that. So I felt that Sean Payton coming into Denver was going to be that way. But somewhere along the line, like, my optimism towards him started to turn. So I kind of started boosting my own self up. You know, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go think differently, think positive, and let him bring me down instead of the other way, like prove me wrong type of thing. And thank God he did, because after that Miami game, I don't know why I keep bringing it up every single freaking episode, but that Miami game, I didn't want none of those coaches to get on that damn plane, let alone Vance Joseph. But ever since he cut off those sleeves here in Chicago, Sean Payton has just been on a tear. Okay. And hopefully he doesn't wear another long sleeve, even in the cold winter, for the remainder of his time, just to keep the streak going. I don't know what the hell happened, but the magic started in Chicago, Libre, and hopefully it continues to go on for a very long time in terms of.
And that's why I sent you that video, So I know that's what sparked that memory for you as well, because of that video. I saw it and I said, oh, I need to send it to him, especially with the Broncos being down.
I was there
during that game. Yeah,
I was there.
And and again, did you see them cut his sleeves off while
they
you're there?
They didn't show it on the
exactly.
On the Titantron.
And that's why, like, when you're there at the game, you miss a lot of action of stuff that's happening within the game itself. So that's why, like, I shared it to you. Is like, and I know that we've talked about it before on previous episodes. So I saw it. I said I need to send this over again to Adan, just so that, because I know that you were there at that game and seeing them just cut those off, and they have just the pieces thrown on there on the ground. Just that, like, that was like kind of a little switch, a turning point in Broncos history itself. And then us being able to come back and barely beat the Bears in that game, because I remember that too, because I was at the DMVR bar actually at that game for that game with some buddies. We're like, all right, well, let's all figure out a game to go to, and that was the game that we decided to go to the DMVR bar. And being able to see that transformation, we're like, oh man, how are we losing to the Bears? Like, we can't lose to the Bears. And then that transition is like, whew, so exciting. But talking about the trade itself and what we gave up, like, honestly, like, I was excited right away when we traded for him. Like, you have to think, like, the coaches are not part of the salary cap itself, so they're on a different type of money scale itself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thanks for the correction. I don't know why it's the salary cap, but you're right. They're not on the salary cap. Thank you.
But no worries. But just having him, because he still wanted to play, he still wanted to be in the league and coaching. And that's why he took that year off, because he's like, hey, I need to step away. And sometimes I feel like coaches just need to do that as well, because they're always in there. They're the ones that are in there before anyone, and there before anyone else. Everyone else has left, and they're still in their offices reviewing tape, doing all that stuff. And they need that type of break too. And I felt like that's what he needed. And he goes, I just need to step away. And the Broncos came in and said, you know what? He's not there for you guys. Let me give you a draft pick, and let's go and get him over here. And the best part about it as well is that he wanted to come to Denver. Like, I think he could have said no. Like, I think he wanted to come to Denver and says, you know what, let me restart my career here. Let's go to Denver. I can get them fixed.
You know what? But that's actually a double-edged sword, Libre, because even if something so much as a week for an NFL player being out with injury, coming back, that even just look at Riley Moss. We talked about it during that Bengals game.
Yeah.
That just builds rust. So the same thing with coaching, because let me ask you this. Do you think that Pete Carroll coming back, is he going to turn the Raiders around and do for them what he did in Seattle with Russell Wilson and the Legion of Boom? Do you see that happening in Las Vegas?
No, not at all. He took this last year off, and because he wanted that break. And I feel like the management as well saying, hey, we're going to start to go away from you. That's why they took him away from being a coach, and he was a consultant for this last year. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy that still wants to be that coach as well. I think the scenarios for those two are two different scenarios for them. I think that he just wanted to Sean Payton needed that break from just coaching. Pete Carroll was like, hey, you're going to be taken off as the head coach for it, but you're going to be on the team still as a consultant, but not as the head coach anymore. So I feel like those are two different scenarios, even though Pete Carroll is older than dirt right now. As like 76, 77 years old. He's not, for me personally, I don't think he's going to be able to do that transformation here within this first year. They might be a lot better, say, year two with him. But again, I also feel like with Pete Carroll is only a coach that they're using to hire someone else. He's that transitional coach trying to bring someone in that is has experience within the league itself as being the coach, and now they're just trying to coach someone up to become that coach, because he's not going to be there that long. Especially with the Raiders themselves, the way that they like to do stuff. You never know what Davis is doing over there. Mark Davis, because you look at his haircut, you never know what he does.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we have hit the 1 hour mark. So that means that Libre and I are getting ready to go into some overtime. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the show called Broncos Overtime, where if this is your first time here, it is where Libre and I let our hair down and we just chill and rest, and we talk about anything that's on our minds. Definitely most likely isn't related to the Broncos, so hopefully you can pull up a chair and stick with us and just kind of shoot the breeze, so to speak.
So before we go anywhere else, we're 3 weeks out from rookies reporting to training camp. So they report on the 22nd. So I'm super excited for that. I can't wait for that.
What was I going to say? I forgot.
You're welcome.
If we can find a way to bring you back to Broncos, totally great. Libre, the only gripe I have is, now that I'm older, I never realized how hard it is when, whether you're doing it yourself or you're helping somebody else do it, when you're helping someone move.
Oh,
because
the worst.
It's like before, like when I used to do it for my dad, we used to go and help out like family or friends, or when we did it, it was like, yeah, we had a lot of stuff, but it didn't wear me out. But just recently I helped out a family member move, and I felt like death. And I was like winded, and it's like crazy, man. And it just made me realize, like, damn, I am really old.
What happens is, now that you're in your 40s, now you're using muscles that you normally don't use, and when you're out there and actually helping out moving, you're now lifting up stuff that's heavy, and it's like that next day, man, or even later that day, is like you already felt the soreness coming in, and you have to take 5 ibuprofens just to hopefully help out, and sometimes that doesn't even help, and you need a gummy.
Man, this isn't product placement. I don't know what I did with the bottle, but Icy Hot yesterday definitely came in to help. And it was one of those things that also reminded me that I'm just not in shape.
Well, like I used to, for the longest time, I used to work 2 jobs for about 10 years, and I was working from like 6 a.m. until 11 p.m. at night, just on the go. And what was nice is, though, it was like my daytime job working in the office. My night job is I was a cook, and I was doing that at BD's Mongolian Grill here in Denver. So it's 2 different worlds. So I was like, it's not mentally draining on one. So one was mentally draining and one was physical. But let me tell you, I just over the weekend as well, I worked Pride Fest here in Denver, and I was a manager of a cocktail stand, and yeah, I didn't do much itself, but just being on your feet and being on concrete for 12 to 13 hours a day, killed me. I was just so sore, and I had to take ibuprofen. I literally had to take Monday off from work just so that I could try to recover from that weekend.
I'm sorry, man, but you I'm such a child.
Why? Because I said cocktail. Híjole, señor. I know. I noticed it right away when I said it.
Johnny's gonna kill me.
Ay, señor.
Hey, leave me alone. I still laugh at fart sounds like it's the very first time I heard it. Oh man,
that's funny.
But yeah, I mean, and it kills me because me being Mexican, I'm so used to that type of stuff. I even have the old Mama Lona truck that, it's like, why do you rent a U-Haul? Like, I got my old Expo. It's old, it's creaky, it's about to give out any damn day, but that bastard still pulls furniture and bolsas and like
Right.
That's another thing, Libre, is when you pack up your stuff to move, doesn't it feel like you have more stuff than when everything was organized?
Yeah, always.
Like, it makes me, I remember when I was having flashbacks to when I was a kid. I'm like, man, I don't even want to move no more, because like, where the hell did all this crap come from?
There was a time when I was living in an apartment before I bought my house, and this is a little tiny apartment, maybe 1,000 square feet, 2-bedroom apartment. And when we moved out of there into my house, I'm like, how did we have so much stuff in this tiny apartment? And we just doubled our square footage, and this whole house, the upstairs and basement are full of all of our stuff. And I'm like, how is this even possible, man? It's like, how did I pack all of this stuff in this tiny ass apartment that filled up my whole house? It was nuts. It was crazy. I was like, there's no way that this was possible. But I did it somehow.
Yeah, well, thank God, the last time we moved was 21 years ago. So we've been in this house ever since. And hopefully, if I don't know, man, I'm at the point where it's like, I'd rather just buy a new house and buy new stuff.
I was just going to say, in the 21 years, like, guaranteed you have more stuff than you accumulated from the time you moved in.
Oh, I definitely did. I had to pack some of my stuff up because when I moved from downstairs up here, this is just like a bedroom. So like everything is so compacted here. I have stuff in bins, and I never realized I had so much stuff. I had to get rid of other stuff as I moved upstairs, because what happened was some of that stuff, even though I cleaned it, because of the couple times that when my basement got flooded, it got brittle. So it like over time, when we tried to move it, most of it was wood anyway, so it just broke, so rather than try to fix it, we just got rid of it. And it's like, one of those things where I'll buy another one. But it's crazy. The only good thing I like about being in this room, Libre, is that cleanup is now, it's pretty quick.
Oh, nice. Hey, that's the best part about it. But when you move back to the basement, you're going to have to do all that move again.
Yeah. The only thing that's really heavy is that big ass TV right there. It's a 75-inch TV. That's the heaviest thing in this room besides me.
That's crazy.
But it's just like, I don't know. Now I have a whole new respect for like those movers I see all the time with the big box trucks, and and they have to do that every day.
I know one of my buddies, he was a mover, and he would say, man, the only good thing about being a mover is we work maybe 4 or 5 hours a day, but that's it. But during that time frame, we're hustling and bustling and moving all those boxes. He goes, yeah, those days where I'm coming back home sore and all that, have to go in there, take a bath with Epsom salt and all that to help try to recover. And I go, yeah, I don't know if I could be a mover itself. That's too much work for me.
Man, Epsom salt is your best friend. Whether it's the one you pour in your bathtub, the spray, the cream, whatever Epsom it says, that stuff works miracles. And I cannot, this isn't a sponsored thing or anything, but just go get it. Just have it handy, because it'll definitely come in good in a pinch. But the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, Libre, is, I don't know if we talked about it in the previous show, but my nephew just graduated. He's going to high school, and he wore pads and a helmet for the very first time the other day. And I was a little bit concerned, because I'm like, you know what? He's going from flag football to, clashing with helmets and pads. Some kids aren't meant for it. He told me that a kid was crying at practice.
Oh, yeah.
So But he took it on the chin, and thank God he loves it. Because like I told him, I said, as you get older, when you hear those football helmets and pads clash, even at a Hall of Fame game, it just, oh my God, the endorphins that just get released in you.
I still get it myself. And I just turned 47. So like that just excites me too. But that's only because of how much I love this game as well. But yeah, like now that I'm glad, like you're gonna be one or two persons, especially when putting on helmets and pads for the first time ever. Either it's not gonna be for you and you don't like it, or you just love it and you're like, what have I been missing my whole life? If you didn't start when you're in Pop Warner and you're just now doing it as a freshman in high school, like the only good thing about him now starting it now, he's going to be so raw that he's going to be learning this, but his body is not broken down already. Because a lot of these kids that have been playing Pop Warner from from kindergarten up, like they've taken so many hits already. He hasn't. So his body's fresh. He's going to be probably one of the best ones out there. I can already see it.
Oh, he definitely is. He definitely is. And I cannot wait to go see him at his very first game. I know he's told me that that he likes it. But like I told him, I said, just get ready, nephew, because, practice is one thing. When the real game starts, it might be a little bit more different than practice. But like you said, it's just something about the sound of clashing football equipment. Now, I've never worn pads or a helmet, and I've never clashed. I've been tackled before when I was younger, but so I can't say I know what that feeling feels like. But just hearing it, and I cannot wait till the 31st when we finally hear it. And I mean hear it outside of practice, because a lot of people are like, oh, just watch practice, just watch a replay on YouTube. It is not the same thing.
Not the same. Yeah.
Not the same thing.
Not the same at all.
Like when you see, even if it's not your team, for example, just knowing that they're playing, even if it's backups, but just hearing it live is like football is back, baby.
That's what I'm excited to go see on the 25th when I go to the open practice. And what's crazy too is the Broncos sent out an email out about open practice. And they first gave any season ticket holders the opportunity to get them prior to them being open to the public. So I was able to get they said I can only do 2 practices, and I can only get a maximum of 4 tickets per practice. So I ended up getting the very first practice, the Friday, and I got the 4 tickets, and then I got the dual practice that they're going to have with the Arizona Cardinals. So they have a joint practice with the Cardinals. So I'm going to be going to that game, which is August 14th, which is a Wednesday. So I'll have some footage of that as well, especially with the Arizona Cardinals right before we play them that weekend. And then the week before that, they actually will be in Santa Clara or San Francisco, depending on where the 49ers practice at. They're going to have a joint practice with the 49ers too that week in California. So I'm excited for this to come through. It's a long time waiting. I know that I've been doing a countdown of kickoff, which we're at 67 days. But it's going to be sooner. We're going to actually see some live action here soon, but football is almost back, 2 weeks away. Like Shai just said, rookies report the 16th. I said the 22nd, but the 22nd is when the veterans actually report, which is the following week, and then the rookies here on the 16th. So we're just 2 weeks away. Super excited.
Since you mentioned you went to DNVR bar, have you ever met anybody like famous or that like from the podcast world? I don't know if I've asked you this before, but I feel that since you've been there more times than maybe Johnny and some of the other guys, like have you ever met and talked to anybody else?
Oh, absolutely. They're talking. They're sitting at the bar sometimes. Sometimes they'll just chill up in the little lounge area where the podcast is set up in their studio. But they do have sometimes they'll come down to the table and in the bar area and hang out and talk. And like I've talked to RK, I've talked to Henry, Hank, I've talked to who's RK, Brandon Spano.
You've talked to Bree, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I've actually talked to Bree at the Broncos training camp too. And who else? Like all the guys, I've talked to them all because they're really cool. They're good to hang out with, and they're fun. Especially the guy, his name is D-Line on Twitter. His name is D-Line. He's the one that creates all the shirts for them. So he's the shirt designer. We talk to him all the time.
You met Mario Vitanzi too, right?
Oh yeah, Mario, yeah. And like what's also cool is last year, before D-Line released the Nick Casa Bonito shirt, he actually pulled us over because we were in the bar, me and my buddy Bronco Tiz. We were inside the bar itself, and he goes, "Hey guys, come over here. I wanna show you this. What do you guys think about this shirt that that we're making up right now?" And we saw it, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, like that's something that's a must-have. Like once it's released, you're gonna have to get it." And I have it actually in my closet right now, so I'm like, it's so nice. I have to wear maybe the next show.
I've been to Denver 2-3 times. I've never met anybody, and the closest I've been besides you was when I thought I saw Bree like across the stadium, but I didn't have binoculars, and that could have been somebody else with colored hair. But I was trying to compare where she was sitting on her Twitter. She was sitting next to, I think, where the I don't know if it's the Broncos or the away team comes out by the doorway. She was kind of sitting in that area on the 100 section, if I had to guess.
So if that's the 100 section, that would be with the side that the Broncos come out.
Okay. Well, she was on the bottom lower side from what I could tell. But you know, I've only met people through video. I met what's her name? Shoot. I just saw her Instagram. I think she injured her leg or her knee or her she used to be a cheerleader. What's her name? I'm so embarrassed. I literally just saw it. It'll come to me. But I met her through MHRT. And I met who else did I meet? Oh, I did meet Mario Vitanzi, but through the
video chat.
Yeah, through the video chat. Yeah, which I still think it counts.
It does because he saw your face, you saw his.
Yeah, he was a really cool guy.
Oh yeah, Mario's pretty cool.
I think I want.
Do you ever watch his podcast?
No, I haven't. I'm trying to think. Who else did I meet? I think they got Derek Wolf on the show. I'm not sure, but I feel like I've talked to Derek. And I think that's it. If I'm being honest, I can't remember her name.
Well, I've met Boss Ward, Nick Ferguson, you know, some of the Broncos themselves. I've met Ruben Drones. So it's like you just have to go because there's like if you go to the bar, and I know that you're not here in town, but if you just happen to go, guaranteed you're going to bump into any of those guys because they're always there at the bar.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like I've always felt kind of like, you know, what if type of thing because it's like these are powerhouse players. You know, your Cody Rourke's and your I don't know if Benjamin Albright lives in Denver.
Yeah, I don't know if he does or not.
I've never.
But the thing is, it's like you can't be afraid to go up to them and say hi. Like they're just another normal person, just like you and I.
Nah, dude, they're big name players in the Broncos podcast world. Some of those guys are like top 10, you know, according to our good friend.
But that doesn't mean anything. Like, I'll be honest with you. You can't like me like that. And that's how I feel like when I was telling you about my buddy being a fangirling over Steve Atwater. And when I introduced him to him, I was like, "Oh, what's up, Steve?" And then I go, "Oh, this is my buddy Kit. He's one of your huge fans." And he literally was like, "Oh, I'm your biggest fan." Like he totally fangirled it. I go, "You just can't do that. Like they're just another normal person. Yeah, they have say more money than you and I in the bank, but they're still put on one leg in and at a time when they put their pants on."
Yeah, I mean, when you put it that way, yeah. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, damn if you do and damned if you don't. You know?
Yeah. Watch when you come back into Denver for whatever game it is. We'll go to the DMVR bar after you get me my tacos, and then I'll introduce you to some of the guys.
You're never gonna let
or
that
even
go.
Bree.
I feel like Bree has seen me somewhere around the stadium, but just probably didn't know it was me. But I did talk to Bree when she came to MHRT initially. I know I talked to her on the show. I've met Lindsay Bebo, who's a good friend of mine. Chris Hernandez, of course, who's one of my very first supporters when Broncos Talk launched. I've only seen Glenn and Mundungus through video. I've never met them. The only person I've ever met was Johnny last year when he came to Chicago and we hung out and we went to a Bulls Nuggets game. He's the only person from from either network that I've met in person. So I'm kind of excited to see who I run into next. I say it every time. And every time I go to Denver, I don't do nothing but go from my room to the game and then back to my room, get my stuff, and go to the airport. But no, I'm definitely going to go into the DNVR bar next time I'm in town and just kind of get a feel of things and see who I run into. You know, like I could run into you, Libre.
Well, only if I have my mask on, because you've never seen me without it. Like with hundreds of other people, they haven't seen me without my mask. So
this is true.
But I'll tell you one thing is I've never seen the guy behind the mask either. So
what did somebody ask you one time? Do you take a shower with your mask?
And I do. Yeah, that was like one of our first shows. I think so.
I don't know why. I just pictured you, if you didn't have a car, you're just sitting on the city bus and people are just staring at you like, what?
You know what's funny is, like, I remember when I was doing this testimonial video that when I got LASIK done, because I got LASIK done a couple years ago, and the Broncos actually paid for it. And I had to do a promotional video for it. And so I was downtown with all my Bronco gear stuff. And this is like during the summer. So it's like not during Bronco season at all. And all the looks that I was getting, people pulling out their cameras and videotaping and taking pictures, which was freaking awesome. I need to try to get that photographer to send me the B-roll footage that he sent. Because like I put on the video out, it's on my TikTok and I put it out there, but all the B-roll footage itself, I need to get that, because there was a lot of cool videos that we took, because we did it inside the stadium, we did it down in downtown Denver, so it was pretty cool.
Mahai City has a comment here for you, Libre. He says, I was thinking about the Denver tailgate, LOL, but they went up big time on their prices for a tailgate, LOL.
You know what? With the DMVR, like I remember when they first started coming out, and this is back in Lot N, before they put up that apartment building that's there now. And we used to tailgate with them, and it was free. They said, come and join everything. But since they moved up to there behind that Fanatic store, it's like more of for them, they look at it as a business, and they're making money off of the business and the tailgate itself, because all that food that they get, guaranteed it's all sponsored for them, and they just put it out there. They're not paying a dime for it, so you're just paying for all the Breck brews that are out there, and then that pizza from either, I think it's Anthony's Pizza that they do. But yeah, they it's crazy on what they've done. But what's nice is like I go over there as well, and I talk to Lindsay and I talk to Brandon. Sometimes they're like, all right, go ahead and go in and chill or whatever so that we can talk. But I think it's just because it's type of because I have been there since day one with them and talked to them, and I'm not there as well. Like I want them to succeed, and they're succeeding itself, and I love that, and I support them and all that. But when it comes to tailgate, it's like, come on, it's for the community. I understand that you want to make the money off of it as well, but we're here to have a good time supporting our cause of the Denver Broncos. Like, that's my thing as well.
And we have somebody in the chat. I just looked down. Bronco Mike saying there's Mike and then there's Bronco Mike. And he also says, just come by my tailgate there every game. He is in Lot M.
Bronco Mike, I can tell you, like, Bronco Mike knows who I am as well because he's seen me with and without my mask as well. So he does have a great tailgate party in Lot M, which used to be right there by, because that's where the DMVR, or I used to tailgate with the guys called the Sons of Mile High, and they tailgated right there in Lot M as well. They happened to move out of state, so they no longer tailgate anymore. But yes, if you're ever in town and here for a game, please stop over there at Bronco Mike's as well. There in Lot M. It's he throws on a great tailgate party as well. Again, as well for this upcoming year too, for the Titans game, I'm gonna have a huge tailgate party because I'm gonna have the fan group from Mexico where we're gonna have over 100 people from Mexico coming up, and then plus whoever's here in town. So we're gonna have close to 200 people, if not more, for that in particular tailgate. So I'm in the works of getting it sponsored by the Broncos en Español. So hopefully that we can get that set out. And once I have more information and once I have confirmation of that, definitely I'll be sending out all the information and all that words here on TikTok and all the socials.
And before I forget, I told
Hey, Bronco Mike, that's going to be in Lot C. So right up against the hill. It's a C10.
So just like I promised you guys, I was going to give out Bronco Libre's true identity on my whiteboard before the end of the show. And here it is. It's right there. You need invisible ink. If you haven't, you need invisible ink glasses. I wrote it in invisible ink. So if you have the glasses, you can read it. If you can't, too bad. But I'm a man of my word, Libre. I told you.
I love it. Bronco Mike, yes, I would love to have you over there. We'll have, I think we're going to have lots of tacos and lots of tequila. Definitely we're going to have Libre Punch there as well with Breckenridge Distillery.
Well, my high city says LOL. Hey, what can I say? Libre is my buddy and all, but I do it for the fans.
All right, let's start it. Here it goes.
No, I was about to say you're not going to do it, but ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for Broncos Talk Overtime and Broncos Talk in general. I want to say thank you. Let me rephrase that. Libre and I would like to say thank you to everybody in our chat today. Mahai City Baby, of course, Shy Vargas, Dreamweaver, and Fanatic Dak, and
Bronco Mike.
Jay Weaver is the same thing. Bronco Mike and everybody in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you guys, the viewers,
and also
watching us.
Brandon as well on my TikTok as well.
Brandon, of course. Thank you. Just a quick reminder for you guys before we head out of here. Please make sure you subscribe, share, comment, and like on the Orange and Blue Network version of today's show. Your support is very well appreciated, as well as all the other shows here on the network. Also, to our sister station, MHRT Network, subscribe, share, comment, and like on this show on their network and all of their other shows, providing you countless hours of Broncos content around, I don't know if around the clock, but throughout time. Let's just say that. Shout out to our sponsor for today's show, which is W. If you use the code NRWOB10, you'll get 10% off at checkout. Again, that code is NRWOB10 to get your 10% off at checkout. Shout out to W and the guys over Nothing Rhymes With for the free hookup, for the awesome hookup, not free. For audio listeners, if you'd like to give us a shout, 5-star reviews are as well appreciated. You can screenshot, send it to our socials there at the bottom, our Twitter handles. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Shout out to everybody watching us through Broncos World Order and everybody in the TikTok that was here with us. Thank you guys so much. Your support and attention is always very well appreciated. Quick reminder, Viva Los Broncos will not be on the air this Friday because of the 4th of July. It will be back next Friday at its regularly scheduled time. And Broncos Talk will be back next Wednesday at our regularly scheduled time. So please make sure you look out for that. Ladies and gentlemen, for Bronco Libre and myself, have a happy 4th of July. Be safe. Please don't do anything dangerous with fireworks. Be at a safe distance if you're cooking out, all that good stuff. And we
don't do what Jason Pierre-Paul did, JPP, remember?
Yeah, fireworks on the ground and 5 feet away. But please be safe this 4th of July, and we look forward to seeing you guys here with us next Wednesday. So for Bronco Libre,
let's go.
I'm Adan Diaz. This has been the Broncos Talk on the Orange and Blue and MHRT Network. So with that, we say good night, goodbye, good day, good afternoon, whatever it is. Happy 4th of July, and everybody.
Happy 4th, everyone.
Go Broncos!
Let's go.